Some mysteries are unsolved because there isn't enough evidence, but the cases in this video are different. These are real events where investigators had too much evidence and somehow it only made things more confusing. No clear answers, no clean explanations, just details that don't fit together no matter how hard you try. The lead masks case remains one of the strangest unsolved cases in Brazil's history. In 1966, 2 electronics technicians were found dead on a hill outside, dressed in formal suits and wearing homemade lead masks over their eyes. Near their bodies, investigators found a notebook containing a series of cryptic instructions, including the now infamous line, 1630, be at the agreed place. 1830, ingest capsules. After effect, protect metals, wait for signal. The phrasing suggested a planned experiment or ritual, but no one could determine what kind. There were no signs of violence, no struggle, and no immediate cause of death. Toxicology reports were inconclusive, and the capsules referenced in the note were never found. The masks themselves were crude but deliberate, believed to be intended to shield the eyes from intense light or radiation. The combination of scientific elements, ritualistic behavior, and missing evidence led to widespread speculation, ranging from failed experiments to attempted contact with something unknown. Despite extensive investigation, the exact purpose of their actions and what ultimately caused their deaths has never been determined. When Rey Rivera was found passed away in 2006 at the Belvedere Hotel in Baltimore, it initially looked like a tragic fall, but almost immediately things stopped making sense. Rivera had crashed through a small roof in a conference room, but the distance from where he supposedly jumped didn't line up with his physical ability. Even stranger, his flip-flops and phone were found intact nearby, barely damaged, despite the massive fall. Investigators also discovered a bizarre coded note taped behind his computer filled with references to movies, secret societies, and cryptic phrases. His death was officially ruled undetermined, and to this day, no one can explain how he ended up exactly where he was or what he was doing in his final moments. In 2004, a man was found behind a Burger King in Georgia, unconscious, sunburned, and with no memory of who he was. He had no ID, no past, and no one came forward to identify him. He became known as Benjaman Kyle. For over a decade, he lived without a legal identity, unable to work, access services, or prove who he was. Eventually, DNA testing revealed his real name, but it didn't answer the biggest question. How does someone lose all memory of their life and end up alone with no explanation in a random location? To this day, the cause of his amnesia has never been fully explained. In 2011, Rebecca Coriam was working aboard a Disney cruise ship sailing near Mexico when she disappeared without a trace. Security footage captured her in what appears to be a distressed phone call just hours before she vanished. After that, nothing. No signs of a fall, no body ever recovered, no confirmed overboard incident. Even more unusual, the cruise line handled the investigation internally, and key details, including parts of the footage, were never publicly released. Despite an official inquiry, no one has ever determined whether she fell, jumped, or if something else happened entirely on that ship. The mad trapper of Rat River was hunted across the Canadian wilderness in the 1930s, surviving extreme conditions that should have killed him. When authorities finally caught up to him, he was shot and killed. But that is where the mystery begins. Despite a massive investigation, no one was ever able to identify him. His fingerprints didn't match any records, and no one came forward to claim him. Even more bizarre, the level of survival skill he demonstrated suggested military or elite training, but no such background was ever confirmed. A man capable of surviving the impossible who officially never existed. In the 1960s, the US launched a satellite called LES-1. It failed early in its mission and was considered completely dead. Then, decades later, it started transmitting again. In 2012, amateur astronomers detected a signal coming from the long-defunct satellite, broadcasting intermittent pulses as if it had somehow powered back on. There was no clear power power source, no explanation for how electronics from the 1960s could restart after decades in space, and the signal eventually stopped again, just as mysteriously as it began. The Isdal Woman case in Norway is often remembered for its espionage angle, but one of its most unsettling aspects is what happened in her final hours. Investigators determined she had checked into multiple hotels under false identities, carefully rotating aliases, altering her appearance, and avoiding any consistent pattern. Witnesses later described her as alert, observant, and constantly aware of her surroundings. But when authorities tried to reconstruct her final movements, the timeline fell apart. Key witnesses gave conflicting statements about where she had been and who she was with. Some reported seeing her acting normally, while others claimed she appeared distressed or in a hurry. Personal items she was known to carry were missing, while others were found deliberately altered or partially destroyed. Even more frustrating for investigators, her exact route in the hours before her death could never be fully mapped. Despite modern forensic reviews and renewed investigations decades later, authorities have openly admitted that they still cannot explain her final sequence of actions or what she was doing in the lead up to her death. For decades, multiple people in Liverpool have reported the same strange experience on Bold Street. They claim to have suddenly found themselves in the past. In one well-documented case, a police officer in the 1990s described walking down the street and suddenly seeing 1950s storefronts, old-fashioned cars, and people in period clothing before everything snapped back to normal. Others have reported similar incidents with consistent details across different time periods. There's no scientific explanation, no proven cause, just repeated accounts that all describe the same impossible shift. The death of Gareth Williams in 2010 remains one of the most baffling modern cases involving a government employee. Williams, a British intelligence analyst, was found dead inside a red duffel bag in his London apartment, a bag that had been padlocked from the outside. From the beginning, investigators focused on one central question: could he have locked himself inside? Multiple reconstruction attempts were carried out, with experts trying to replicate the scenario under controlled conditions. None were successful. Even highly flexible individuals were unable to zip and lock the bag in the same way. There were also no signs of forced entry, no evidence of a struggle, and no clear indication that anyone else had been in the apartment. Initially ruled as accidental, the case quickly drew criticism. A later inquest concluded that the explanation didn't hold up, and officials ultimately admitted they could not determine how Williams ended up inside the bag. Given his work in intelligence and cryptography, speculation around espionage has never gone away, but no definitive evidence has ever surfaced to confirm it. The Peter Bergmann case is one of the most meticulous identity erasures ever recorded. In 2009, a man using the name Peter Bergmann checked into a hotel in Sligo, Ireland, carrying very little with him and providing false information on registration. Over the next several days, CCTV footage captured him repeatedly leaving the hotel with plastic bags and returning each time without them. He appeared calm and methodical, but clearly intentional in what he was doing. Investigators later searched extensively for the discarded items, but none were ever recovered. What makes this case even more unusual is the level of detail in how he removed his identity. Every label had been cut from his clothing. No identification was found. Even common personal traces, receipts, packaging, anything that could link him to a location were missing. When he was later discovered dead on a nearby beach, a full international investigation was launched, including Interpol involvement. Despite this, no one has ever been able to determine who he really was, where he came from, or why he went to such precise lengths to disappear before his death. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Livy Kozlowski, and I will see you again soon. Bye!